Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the 3rd and 20 Dynasty Podcast. It's JT, it's Lounis, it's Frank. No Jake today. Season 3, Episode 4. We got a lot. We're only a couple weeks before the actual start of the NFL regular season, what we all really care about. But we also have college football starting next week. It's week like 0. There's only a couple games, but I mean, for us,
there's nothing.
Players,
we're desperate. We're fucking desperate.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. For us Dynasty people too, these 2023 rookies have been getting hyped, or incoming rookie class. So we figured might as well break it down this episode later on. But let's kick it off.
Week 0 games. Hold on, real quick.
All right.
Can you imagine after everything with the 2023 picks, like the class just ends up being like,
I mean, it's
like not like terrible, but like let's just say like below average.
There have been times where there's been like super hyped classes and it ends up not panning out.
Yeah, because I feel like the expectation now is it's that that 2023 has to be, what was the Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle?
Yeah, that's 2020.
2021.
I guess.
Yeah, I feel like it has to live up to that class, otherwise it's like viewed as a
I would argue 2020 was better than 2021.
What was the 2020?
I'm only saying week 1. Where's week 0?
I think there's like Northwestern plays Nebraska and like somewhere like England, Ireland.
Holy shit.
Yeah, if you pull up NCAA, it has you got Northwestern, Nebraska, Saturday, 12:30. I'm pretty sure that's like in England or Ireland. It doesn't say it here though, but.
And yeah, actually, JT, the 2020 class was pretty loaded, especially with like Burrow and Herbert.
Yeah, and, you got 3
Jefferson.
Nice quarterbacks. Oh,
who were some of the top running backs from there? It was like
Jonathan Taylor,
DeAndre
Swift.
Oh yeah, you're
2
right.
of the top 4 running backs, 5
Dobbins,
depending on where you have Swift. Yeah, then Dobbins, Gibson, who's taken a huge hit recently, Akers, who can come back.
Gibson, I think he's the most interesting player to me in Dynasty right now.
Then I mean receivers, it was Jefferson obviously, but then you had CeeDee Lamb, Judy, Rager was there.
Okay,
but
yeah. So you got Nebraska Northwestern is like easily the best game. I mean, Wyoming, Illinois.
There are some Northwestern players I think might be draftable in Dynasty League.
Vanderbilt going to Hawaii. That's a fucking awesome matchup. Tickets as low as $47. Nice.
Yeah, apparently Hawaii games too. This game will be on like ESPN or something. Like it'll be on a main station. But apparently after that, Hawaii like will only be available to people in Hawaii watching it. Otherwise, like you gotta have like some kind of super package or something to be able to watch Hawaii games.
Oh, what the hell! All right, yeah. So let's get into the news. Week news this week. Kenyan Drake Cut.
Yeah, it's tough. That's what we're leading it off with. But I mean, it is something that people, I guess, didn't necessarily expect. I think Frank's been leading the Kenyan Drake hate train for a while now.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have been surprised because apparently Amir Abdullah's been playing well at their camp, and then they just drafted Zamir White. Do you know how bad?
Do you know how bad you had to be to get beat out by Amir Abdullah at this point? Amir Abdullah.
No, he did. That's literally what it is. Amir Abdullah beat him out.
So he's toast. I mean, I'll pull up Kenyan Drake right now, but I'm willing to bet he's still on like 75% of teams on Sleeper. Let's see.
I remember when he was on the Dolphins, people were so high on him.
Oh my god! I swear I didn't look it up. He's rostered on 75% of teams, and it should be like 10%. The Kenyan Drake just doesn't have like. Even when Josh Jacobs got injured and he had like a huge role, he wasn't like
He'll get picked up. It's just going to be in a backup role.
Yeah, but all right. Josh Jacobs was injured. I forget what weeks. He had like 2 nice games, but he only played over 50% of the snaps once on the Raiders.
Yeah, it's not good.
So like, what do we?
Yeah, not great. Not great.
Like even if the whole idea of drafting these running backs in the later rounds, if you're doing like a 0 RB or you're looking for value, is like. Oh, I messed with my camera. Sorry. Can you guys hear me? I'll finish my thought. Okay.
Yeah, go off, King.
So the idea is that like when they get put into the game, like they'll be the lead back. They'll be the main guy. That's kind of like I'm against taking.
You mean when the starter gets injured?
When the starter gets injured. So like I'm typically against taking Alexander Madison, but like he is someone that's at least shown that when Cook's injured, he'll be the main guy.
Yeah, he's productive.
Whereas a lot of other running backs don't do that. So I don't know. I feel like even having Kenyan Drake on your roster might be a bait at this point. All right, I'll be right back if you guys want to carry.
All right, I guess other news: Geronimo Allison and Auden Tate got cut from the Falcons.
Disappointed.
Okay.
I thought Auden Tate.
Were you
an
Auden Tate guy?
Yeah,
Auden Tate's the bait, man.
I thought this would be his chance. I mean, it's kind of like if you're a receiver who can't make the roster on the Falcons, like it's kind of when you know.
Well, you want to know what I'm excited for is Jared Bernhardt. That's my dude. He's a lacrosse player. He won what's called the Heisman of Lacrosse. I don't know.
Heisman of Lacrosse.
Dude, it's got a weird ass name. I forget the name of it, but yeah, that dude, he transferred to play football for a year, won the national championship of whatever weird division or conference that he transferred to, and now is trying to make it as a receiver on the Falcons. He's been playing well. And I mean, listen, dude, he made it over Geronimo Allison and Auden Tate, like two receivers that have, made rosters, played games. So like another step of the process, but
we'll see. Yeah, the roster had to go down to 80 today. I'm pretty sure. So
what's that dude from the Bears out of North Carolina? What was his name?
Newsome, right?
Yeah, Daz Newsome.
Oh yeah, Daz Newsome. Yeah, he got cut. So no surprise there. Regime change. They don't really have any loyalty to him. 6th round pick last year. He's out.
I was watching him in preseason too, because I was interested to see how like Justin Fields would do, and he was in for a good chunk of the game and just looked bad. Like he made Velus Jones look like a Hall of Famer.
That was gonna happen regardless, but
yeah.
We have on here preseason bait. Does anyone want to talk about any preseason bait?
I just threw that in there in case anyone had any things that they noticed that would be bait. Something we talked about Isaiah Pacheco in previous pods, but like
you gotta talk about the other Isaiah Likely. He's been going nuts.
Oh my god, I saw I meant to send it to you guys. I saw a poll today about one of those like fantasy dynasty cats. It's like, who's your tight end one? I don't know what it was at when you saw it, JT, but when I saw it, it was tied between
it was dead
Isaiah
even. It was like 42%, and whoever the third guy was had like 8%. I forget who.
But they were tied for tight end one. I think his most recent preseason game, he didn't play a whole ton, and he still had like 3 catches for over 100 yards. Athletic tight end. Well, I like him.
Someone tweeted out like, "Oh, here's all of the tight ends to have X amount of yards and X amount of catches in preseason," and it was like Isaiah Likely, and then just like Hall of Famers, and like all this other. So I mean, the hype's gotten.
The thing with Isaiah Likely for me, I would like him a lot more if, I know this is kind of like a no shit answer, but like if Mark Andrews wasn't there, just because the Ravens have never really been an offense where 2 tight ends are being like that productive. Like we saw Hayden Hurst had a huge jump in Atlanta when he left. Not like he didn't like go off or anything, but he was a lot better when he left. There's a reason he like wanted out.
Frank, I'm tossing the link in the doc if you want to pull up
how effective I was gonna say, how effective do you guys think he can like be in an offense where Mark Andrews isn't going anywhere? He's their second best offensive player behind Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, no, Isaiah, we talked about it on the last episode. It's just I would just re-roll Isaiah Likely if I could for. I don't know what he's going for right now.
You can get a 2023 second. I'd love that.
I doubt you can right now, but like if you can, definitely
24 second. 24 second, I think you could get.
All right, here we go. At Nathan Janky on Twitter. He's actually a pretty good follow. I like him.
Yeah.
Most first half preseason receiving yards by a tight end. Isaiah Likely 1, Kyle Rudolph 2, Jermichael Finley 3, Julius Thomas 4, Jimmy Graham 5, Zach Ertz. Well, I guess Zach Ertz and Kyle Rudolph all tied for 5. Dallas Goedert 8, Mercedes Lewis 9, Mike Gesicki 10. Yeah, not bad company. It really isn't.
It just seems like such a bait.
I remember when Julius Thomas was the truth for like 2 seasons with Peyton Manning.
So when you look at like Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, I mean, I don't know who was ahead of Zach Ertz in 2014, but like I'm assuming Zach Ertz wasn't really playing in 2018, so that's tough for Dallas Goedert. Marcel Lewis never truly panned out. Julius Thomas, same thing. He had that one crazy year when literally everyone on the Broncos had a crazy year. Jermichael Finley with injuries. Like, I mean, it's good. It's a good list, but it just doesn't. How much are we truly ranking off preseason yards? I mean, you could do the same.
Yeah. The problem I have with this list is kind of what you're saying, right? Julius Thomas to me is the only real comp on this list. I'm trying to pick up some of the draft capital of most of these tight ends that I don't know about. Where did okay, so yeah. Most of these tight ends have better draft capital than Isaiah Likely. Other than Julius Thomas, who was also a 4th round pick. I think Isaiah Likely was a 4th round pick. We're talking about all tight ends that teams invested. I think all these guys are day 2 picks.
I know for sure Ertz and Goddard were both 2nd round picks.
Seems like the going rate for Isaiah Likely is a 2023 third. Sometimes 2 2023 thirds. I've seen him paired a couple times with the 2023 third to get a second. So, I mean, it is possible. There's a couple 2024 seconds.
I guess.
But, yep.
Go ahead, JT.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, it seems like at that price, like if you're telling me I could get a 2023 second, smash, like see ya. But I would easily package a third on top of Likely to get a second.
Okay, yeah, that's the thing I was going to say. And say like you could do that for like a contender second. Are you at this point just like, would you rather just keep, if you had Likely, would you rather just keep him or would you try to do that?
No, I want the second.
I just want to
Likely in a third for that late second.
Yeah, because realistically, like
I'm with you guys. I'm just
there are teams that have been able to run 2 tight ends, not often. I mean, maybe the Ravens can based on their personnel and how poor they are at receiver, other than Bateman. Yeah. But it's a middle of the pack passing offense, and we haven't seen this team really do it before. Like, it doesn't seem like a sustainable thing where I just, unless Mark Andrews gets injured, which I don't want to bet on materially, I just don't think Isaiah Likely will actually see a very good rookie season. I think you're kind of dropping value by holding him into the season.
It's not even one of those where you can look at the contract. Like, Andrews' extension just started, right?
I think so.
I think he signed a 4 or 5 year extension a year ago. Or he's not going anywhere.
I'm going to post this in my fucking league group chat and then sell his ass. Like, I'm just I'm sorry, we're talking about the backup tight end, right? Like,
one of the best tight ends in football.
Let's just take a moment to consider what this player is getting hyped on. Isaiah, I think he's a good dude, right? Had good production at Coastal. I think he's a fine player. Obviously, you'd like him to be a little bit more of an athlete, right? His relative athletic score was average at best for a tight end. But if your league mates or you are thinking that this is improving your stock in Isaiah Likely significantly, right? To the point where you're like, oh, well, shit, maybe I should trade my 24 second for Isaiah Likely. All of these dudes have better draft capital, other than maybe it's Julius Thomas. I don't know the actual pick Isaiah Likely went, but so you're just, all of these other dudes from profile alone were better bets than Isaiah Likely off rip. Right,
I'm with you.
And there's not only is he the backup tight end. I mean, Rashad Bateman is going to have a better shout for more targets. I'd probably, if I were a betting man, bet on Devin Duvernay to have a shot at more targets. I'm going to bet obviously on Mark Andrews to have more targets. We are talking about, in a favorable scenario, Isaiah Likely being the 4th option on this team.
This is a guy too that. He's a guy too that I'm still not convinced is better than Charlie Kohler, but Charlie has just been out. He's been out with a hernia surgery.
I have Likely ahead of Kohler, I think what's an interesting question, would you rather have rank these three between Jelani, Woods, McBride, and Likely?
The other two above.
You have Woods and McBride above Likely.
Yeah, I flip-flop between McBride and Woods over who I want more. I think I'd go McBride, Woods, Likely, but it's an easy those two overlap.
Dude, we are talking about one preseason game and some camp reports vaulting this guy to the tight end 1 as a day 3 pick.
Hey, Joe.
Get out of here. What's going on, Joe? Isaiah Likely could pan out, but I am, like JT said last episode, like he said this episode, I am going to take the guy that I took in the 4th round, probably the 5th round, potentially even undrafted. I'd be happy if I got a 3rd. If push came to shove, I would sell him for a 3rd.
I think I'd rather just hold.
That can be said. That could be said about so many other players, though, that like it's just from this preseason where Romeo Dobbs, however you say it, 2nd, gone. I mean, Frank just traded a 2nd.
I just bought him for a 2nd in our home league.
But I would do the complete opposite. He would easily trade him for a 2nd. Pacheco, I've seen him getting traded for 2nds easily. I'd take a 3rd for him. I might even take a 4th, if we're being honest. Like, I just think he has no value on this team. I probably wouldn't take a 4th just because I feel pretty strongly you could get at least a 3rd at this point. But at the end of the day, I personally wouldn't trade a 4th to get this guy. Who else? Who else is making moves? I mean, Pickens is good. So, like, Pickens, I thought was good prior to coming in. Now I think the hype's gone too high.
But he's someone
we can talk about Pickens really quickly because I've seen, like, okay, we can pull up in this league thing.
We can even just bring up. Oh man, you guys! I wish I was there for last week's pod because that mock draft.
Treylon, number 2.
I as mad as I was at Treylon, and I was like, this is about to be the worst pick in this draft. I'm just kidding. It got upended 2 picks later when George Pickens went 104.
Yeah, this is what I want to bring up here, right? Here's a bunch of George Pickens' recent trades on the screen.
Is Pickens like a top 4 rookie for you guys now?
Someone traded Treylon Burks and David Bell for George Pickens.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah, this is what I'm saying. I like Pickens. I think he's a damn good player. I love him as a Steelers fan. But I'm sorry, like even this trade here, if this is a 12-team league and I can get a 23 first for Pickens, I think I'm just taking the 23 first.
Yeah.
Because the way that I'm looking at it is, if that dude's team ends up getting bounced first round of the playoffs or even not making the playoffs, right? It could be one of those good teams that gets this the first team out. Then all of a sudden you have a fantastic pick, which could be Jackson Smith and Jigba, who, listen, is going to come off as a hot take right now. Is just a better prospect than Pickens.
He's on a different tier.
The profile is better.
On the flip side, though, I'm smashing that trade at the end of it with Pacheco and Christian Watson in a 4th for Pickens in a 3rd.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
These trades are all over the place, man.
I mean, even the some of the betting markets for Rookie of the Year, Pickens I think is number 2 for NFL Rookie of the Year.
I never
offensive
get
Rookie of the
by
Year.
that stuff, dude. Like,
but that's
everyone likes the Vegas line stuff way more than I don't really put much stock into the Vegas line stuff.
I mean, I don't put stock into it saying like, oh, I think that's going to happen. I put stock into it in terms of like, shit, like that much money is going towards that he's that high in the odds. Because the odds just follow where the money's going. Like, it means that many people are just like hammering down on Pickens. Like he's passing. Like, I bet right now you could probably trade Pickens straight up for like a Garrett Wilson.
We'll see. I mean, if we're talking about that, right? Like,
I mean, didn't that happen in our startup?
I think
he went over Wilson.
Like, let's just think about this rationally for a second, right? Because we're talking about an offensive Rookie of the Year futures market, right? These types of futures market, like betting on the Super Bowl winner before the season starts, are just bad bets. You know, if you look up online or ask a sharp, they're going to say, yes, spending your money trying to predict the Super Bowl winner and having it all tied up for the entire season, that's a dumb bet. Sharps are instantly out of that market for the most part, unless they see some massive arbitrage value. And it's usually going on like an over-under, where it's just like a little bit more stable, right? Like Christian Watson getting over 850 yards, right? Yeah, I'm going to take the under on that. That's just a much better bet than being like, oh, I love Pickens, I'm going to take him Offensive Rookie of the Year. Knowing that, the Steelers have the biggest fan base. This guy's getting the most hype in training camp. If we have a bet that not a lot of sharps are placing their money into, and not a lot of people are placing extremely high-value bets into, and now it's just a popularity contest, of course Pickens is going to be near the top. This rookie class is one of the worst offensively in a while. There's no good quarterback. Right now, none of these guys are going to fucking start. Right? Yeah. Like, so yeah, am I surprised that George Pickens is near the top? No. Who else are you going to bet on that's getting hype? Romeo Doubs?
Well,
I'm going to take Romeo Doubs for Rookie of the Year real quick.
No, Romeo Doubs is up there. He's
all the other dudes.
He's up there in the odds.
London's injured. Burks, Garrett Wilson, all the other dudes are running with the twos.
Listen to this.
Jameson Williams is hurt.
JT, did you find the odds by any chance?
Yeah, I'm looking at Sportsbook right now. Kenny Pickett is first at plus 750.
Those Steelers fans.
Fine.
We'll talk about Pickett in a second, by the way.
If you're a quarterback,
I want to bring up after.
Yeah, if you're a quarterback and you play, like,
he's the only first round QB.
You're probably
that makes sense. Yeah.
Brees Hall second, Drake London third, and then you've got Burks, Sky Moore, Olave, and Pickens, and Kenneth Walker tied for next. Which is funny.
I saw.
That's hilarious. He's not even one. He's not even two.
Well, but listen to the next two players that are tied. Garrett Wilson, fine. Jalen Tolbert. What is Jalen Tolbert?
Yeah, Tolbert and Dobbs are randomly up there.
It makes no sense, but all right, whatever.
It's because I got them on a couple dynasty teams. They see the talent. I like George Pickens, but at some of these prices, right? Treylon Burks and David Bell for Pickens. Yeah, give me the Treylon side. I'd probably rather have the 23 first. Because
I'm seeing different numbers. What are you on, JT?
I forget what sportsbook I was just looking at. What are you seeing?
I still see Pickens top 2, top 3 at plus 900 for Rookie of the Year.
Really? I mean, I guess whatever. Different. Are you on like FanDuel?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. They just all. I think it's more of a tactic by the
books. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe. Those are Offensive Rookie of the Year.
What were we just talking about though?
Oh, but I mean, if we have nothing, I just to kind of sum it up with Pickens. I like him. I think he's like obviously shown his talent off this off-season period and training camp and everything. But man, like seeing him now go ahead of guys like Garrett Wilson, who I just think like as talented as Pickens. Like if you're having me pick one, I'm picking Garrett Wilson every day of the week. It's I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
You're lucky Jake isn't here. Jake,
he's ahead. He's ahead of like Treylon Burks in a lot of people's rankings now, and like public consensus. He's ahead of Burks and Olave, Jameson, Garrett Wilson. I think he's closing in on like wide receiver 2 behind Drake London, which is nuts. Like so, I don't know.
I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world. I just when you start. I can understand. I can understand that aspect of it. Oh, I have to pick between one or the other. I'm going to take my guy, which is now George Pickens. He might have been close for you coming in. And now the hype and everything is bumped it over the top. Fine. But when you have these deals where you're paying Treylon Burks and a second, Treylon Burks and this to get Pickens, that's where it's like, well, I don't understand the point of that before any of these guys have played. I'd rather just take my gamble on the guy that I drafted and see what happens, right? If I need to sell early, I'm going to wait for actual panic scenarios to sell early.
That's fair.
All right, so we got Next segment, we got a 2023 early mock. We're only going to do one round for now.
Just kind of get everyone hyped for you.
By the way, quick last preseason comment before we do the mock. Frank, because you're a Steelers fan, I don't know how much you've watched of the last couple of games, or at least like read or seen.
I've seen clips.
Okay. A lot of people were saying Pickett should be the starter sooner rather than later.
I have seen that. Dude,
it's getting like more hype, like because I feel like originally everyone was like, oh, maybe like the last few games of the season, but now people are like, I don't know, maybe earlier in the year.
I don't give a shit, man, because it's going to be Mitchell Trubisky day one. We're not going to be one of these teams. It's like, listen, if Mitchell Trubisky goes out there and shits the bed, then yeah, maybe I'll start being like, okay, we need Pickett, but I'm going to give the guy a fair shot.
That's fair.
Honestly, the player I'm most excited about right now is Miles Jack. Like, we might actually have a linebacker who's good for the first time in a couple of years.
I was like Miles Jack, super athletic, yeah.
All right, so yeah, we got a 2023 rookie mock.
Let's do it.
Lounis, you have the first pick, so
this really like is kind of a tough choice. Because I think you have generational prospects. Well, actually, ironically, I think you have generational prospects at running back and receiver. I don't think you do at QB, but it's still a very good QB, and just the positional value at that point, and that's what makes it tough. I'm gonna go with I'll go Bryce Young because I think that's the safe pick. He's brought out in the SEC all season long. He's probably gonna be QB1 next year. I know some people say Stroud. I like Stroud a lot. I don't think he's too far behind. He's also a top 5 pick for me. Bryce Young is still my QB1. I completely understand though if someone goes Bijan Robinson, or for me, I was considering Smith-Njigba because I think they're close to like especially you look at the success of guys like the past couple of years, like a Jonathan Taylor, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and how those guys compare now to like Bryce Young isn't Lawrence, but like compare their value to Lawrence. Like so I don't blame anyone if they went running back or receiver. I'm just taking the safe pick here.
I feel like
the safe pick is Bijan.
Yeah, just real quick,
because quarterbacks like even if Bryce Young doesn't have a great rookie season, he's maintaining a top 10 QB dynasty value.
I don't know. He could have a bad year.
I don't know, but I think Bijan is like
he could Sam Howell or Spencer Rattler this year.
Oh, I'd be shocked.
If you told me that last year about those players.
I know, but Bryce
I just think. Hold on 1 second. Looking at the YouTube chat and Joe in chat, it's just a funny sentence hearing Tomlin is thinking playoffs. It's Mitch regarding who starting quarterback is with Steelers.
I don't think
he's wrong, but that's just yeah. It's just, and then Stroud over Young all day for me. I don't know if I disagree. I
think if you told me by the end of next season Stroud was in QB1 ahead, I wouldn't be shocked. I think he's super talented. I don't know how much having 3 first-round receivers helps him. People said the same shit about Tua also, but I mean, Stroud at least can stay healthy.
I think the easy, safe guarantee though is Bijan Robinson, who I'm taking. He's honestly like he walks into the league. I think he's the running back 2 behind Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I think if you were to do a startup draft, he'd be maybe not necessarily. I think ADP would probably be RB2, but. Nonetheless, he's a top 5 running back right now.
Oh, you know what? Honestly, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he's RB1.
And why the fuck did you take Bryce Young over him then?
I said I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't predict it to happen. Listen, fucking Bryce Young can come out and fucking Joe Burrow.
You just said you were taking the safe pick, and you said,
I am taking the safe pick. These are possibilities. Possibilities. Fucking Butte could be the next Randy Moss. I don't fucking know.
I don't know about that. He's not better than Jamar Chase, Butte. So
I think Smith-Njigba was close to Jamar Chase.
No shot.
You say no shot.
Jamar Chase is just.
We'll bring it up again whenever he gets.
Jamar Chase is in another world. Smith-Njigba is like.
I don't know.
Wide receiver.
I think they're in the same world.
Smith-Njigba might be my wide receiver 3 in this class.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Out of your fucking mind.
Maybe 4.
Receiver 3.
Maybe 4.
Maybe 4.
Probably 3.
That's insane.
Yikes.
Who do you have? Hold on. Who else?
You'll see. I'll probably take.
I'm gonna go CJ Stroud at 3.
Yeah, I think that's.
I'm not the biggest CJ Stroud fan in the world. I just struggle. I don't know who I'd want to take over him. Maybe Smith and Jigba. Maybe Sean Tucker. I don't really fucking know.
I would have taken one of those two Ohio State guys, Smith and Jigba or Stroud here. Easily. I mean, you'd be able to take both back to back, which makes it kind of easy for you.
Yeah.
And those are the two guys
I love Sean Tucker. I think Sean Tucker is a freaking beast.
I think he's very good. I still don't have him as my second running back, though.
I'm just going to take Jackson Smith and Jigba to me is just really fucking good.
He's filthy. Okay, wait. So can we have this discussion real quick? Frank, to you, how far away is Smith and Jigba from Jamar Chase coming out? Like, we're not talking about what we know Chase has done in the NFL. And Frank, I know you like to do these discussions a lot with how you view players as a prospect coming out and leaving.
I feel like Frank wasn't really a Jamar. I mean, he liked Jamar.
I mean, he wasn't. Like, he wasn't as high on Jamar. But I think I don't think it's crazy to say Smith to Jigba is like not too far off from Jamar coming out.
I don't disagree with that, to be honest with you.
He's closer to like Jamar than like the Waddles or Devontae Smiths or like.
Oh no, I think he's exactly.
Garrett Wilson.
I think he's in. Listen, I have Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, and Jackson Smith and Jigba all in the same tier of prospect of receiver
when they were coming out.
I had Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith both in tier 1. I have Jackson Smith and Jigba in tier 1. I think that's as far as I'm gonna put it.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. For me, he's in Jamar. I'd probably give Jamar the edge, but I think he's there with him. Smith and Jigba was fucking filthy.
Yeah, he's very good.
Filthy. And the fact did you hear what JT said earlier about how he ranked him?
I stand by what I said. I mean, he'll probably be my Devontae Smith. He said he
had him at wide receiver 3 or 4 in his draft class.
3. I saw solidified at 3.
He solidified 3.
But the other two guys, I think, are really good.
Great.
I'll probably draft 2 of them.
I just think one of the things about Jackson Smith and Jigba is that last year he's the most productive receiver on a receiving core that has 2 top 16 first round picks, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think
a little telling.
Is fraudulent.
But I mean
that is fair. That's fair. But if Jackson Smith and Jigba, from a position of he's under Olave and he's under Garrett Wilson on that team, went out and by the end of the season is clearly the number 1 target on that team. Like he's clearly the alpha receiver, the dude who's earning the most targets, he has the most production. I think there is something to be said about that.
Yeah, but I could argue that's Butte on LSU as well.
This true. I don't think Butte's far behind, right? It's just I think it's a little bit harder to gauge because he got hurt last year.
Yeah. So. But surprisingly, that's not who I'm going to take here. I'm going to take the new Alabama running back, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah, he's a very interesting player right now. Tucker's my RB2 today. Yeah, dude, I love Sean Tucker. But
Tucker's my RB3 after Gibbs. I just think a Jahmyr Gibbs running back on Alabama's offense is going to be crazy this year.
Yeah, and I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the type of running back that NFL teams really want. Like, I think his skill set kind of really, like the way that the modern NFL is headed, I think that is kind of what Jahmyr Gibbs is and why Bama wanted him as a transfer.
Jackson Smith and Jigba went Gabe Davis in the postseason. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of helping my point because I'm so low on Gabe Davis. All right, Lounis, you're up for 2 picks.
That's hilarious. I like that.
Okay, so the first one's not really too hard. Going Kayshawn.
Yeah.
I almost Butte, wide receiver out of LSU.
Mm-hmm.
That's about that right.
Let me see.
All I'm saying is you got some tough names to spell this year. This is
Jahmyr Gibbs. I did have to look up.
Okay, so now it becomes tough.
I mean, yeah, you got some good players. It's just now, I agree. Now is where it's like you kind of start going off consensus. You kind of have to start just picking your guy.
Did you take? You took Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep.
I think if I were picking I'd probably pick up Addison.
Addison. I was thinking about Addison. I was thinking about Tucker.
I see. The thing is, I just have like a personal attachment to Sean Tucker. His Twitter's great. He goes to Syracuse, so like I got a soft spot for Syracuse because my mom went there.
I like Sean Tucker a lot.
I like his physical play style.
You could take Sean. I would have no issue with you taking Sean Tucker here.
Are you saying that because so that you can get your guy, or because like?
Oh, you're not taking my guy. I can almost guarantee you're not taking my guy here.
Oh, so you mean no issue? Like you wouldn't shit on the pick?
No, yeah, I like Sean Tucker.
I feel like JT wants to pick up Kendall Milton.
I think I'm gonna go Sean Tucker.
I don't mind Kendall Milton, but he's just I'm
gonna go Sean
like
Tucker.
Kendall Milton here. All right, well, this guy is borderline my wide receiver 1 in the class.
Quentin Johnston.
Yes, sir. He is big. He's your fast. Wide receiver 1 in this class.
Oh, he's your wide receiver 1.
Borderline. I think I still have Butte over him. But only knock against him is he plays for TCU, and we've seen how that goes before. But this man is big and fast, and that is exactly what I want from a wide receiver. On top of being extremely productive.
Avoid the Big 12 like the plague.
Yeah, I mean, that's
unless
fair.
you're Bijan.
That's fair. There's so many bad players that you could point to, but this dude went for 5 for 142 and a touchdown against Baylor. Like, he's not. I don't know. He's different. 7 for 185 and 3 touchdowns against Oklahoma.
Very good.
Yeah, 109. I'm going to take Jordan Addison, the wide receiver who now transferred to USC.
Yeah, he's kind of he's a little small for me. I like him.
He is a little small, but
how tall is he?
Dude's a playmaker. TCU wide receiver runaway.
Yeah. I am going unconventional here. I think previously I would have not done it, but I'm going to break my mold. Jordan Addison, I think, made Kenny Pickett a first rounder.
Dude, he's a fun player to watch. He's a good player.
He's probably my wide receiver 5 in this draft, but he's very good still. Like, I just think
I agree with you that he's going to be one of those polarizing type receivers because I'm not sure he is the greatest athlete. And you're as you kind of said, he's not the biggest dude. So like the way you kind of have a lot of these guys on Twitter that are big in the Dynasty community that are just like, I want to take early declare big dudes that run fast that are productive. So if you don't check a lot, like JT's kind of our resident guy for that.
I'm really that guy for that.
So like when you start not checking a lot of those boxes, and then you got the film crew coming in and they do their weird shit every year. I do think that Jordan Addison will be kind of like a film crew kind of receiver, which will be interesting. You watch the Pittsburgh games last year, the dude just makes plays. He's a really fantastic receiver. I just think he's gonna ball out on this USC offense. I think he's gonna have a phenomenal year. Now this 10 pick is. Did you want to add anything, any of you guys?
No, I think you said. The only thing I'd say is looking at this so far, like the first 9 picks here, I think are like I can't emphasize how much better I'd rather have how much more I'd rather have these 9 picks than
even there are still a few more names where I'd like them more than 90% of the 2022 class.
So the thing that is tough for me is that there are a couple backs that I do like as players. I like Tank Bigsby. I like Zach Evans. I like Devin Achane, however the fuck you say his name. I like I said already, what's his name? The dude from Syracuse, Sean Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that like if I were drafting today, I'm just not confident enough in any of those dudes, and I haven't dove into their film enough to where I'm going to come out and draft these guys with top tier draft capital over some of these other prospects, and I'm just more confident in. Like, it's like the Isaiah Spiller thing from last year. When I watched Isaiah Spiller 2 years ago, I guess now it is, I thought he was a fine player. I thought he was a good player. But kind of I wasn't going to come out here. It's a similar thing. I'm not going to draft him with a top 10 pick because I'm just not sure. Right? Like, yeah, I think he could be. I think a lot of these guys could be. But, like, and that's probably one of the reasons why I'm passing on all of these backs right now for Michael Mayer.
Wow.
Damn.
I don't know. I'm not a Michael Mayer guy, so
I'm not gonna lie. I had like 3 guys left, like prepared in case you guys took 2 of them. Michael Mayer was one of them for me. Oh, did we lose Frank?
It looks like we did lose Frank. I don't know if Frank can
Is
hear
the
us.
stream still going? Joe, if you're in chat, can you let us know if we're still good on the stream?
No, I'm still watching the stream.
Okay, we're still good on the stream. Okay, cool. I mean, this guy's Michael Mayer. He's a beast. He should be a first round pick. Because I don't know who you're gonna pick here, but I had the 2 backs and then him, and whichever one of those 3 fell to me, I was gonna take.
Oh,
hey Frank, I can hear you. I can't see you.
Yeah, can't see you.
Okay, so stream, we can hear Frank. I'm not sure if you guys can. I don't think so, but he's fixing that up.
All right,
he'll be back in a sec.
Well, we
just talked about your pick.
Yeah, I think Michael Mayer is kind of.
I was comfortable taking him at 112.
I think he is. I mean, it's kind of cheap because I'm picking a player that was from his college, but I think he's Kyle Rudolph Part 2. I can hear you, Frank.
Is this here? Oh, I can hear myself. This is so weird. Is it hearing double on the stream?
I'm not sure because now we lost JT.
Jesus, what is going on?
I'm going solo. Let's go solo. Well, JT hasn't made his pick, so it's kind of hard. I could have commentated on it, but for now,
a chain. No, yeah, I'm not going to be visible. I got to wait for my other computer to restart. Am I sounding double though on the stream? Like, can you hear?
You sound clear on my end. Joe, let us know if you hear Frank like double. Yeah, he's about. I know you can't see Frank or JT right now. They'll be back. I'll hold down the fort.
I'm getting JT in here right now.
JT's on the way back. I'm holding it down. So for me, the last 2 picks here in the first round is those 2 running backs. You can hear Frank
on the stream.
But I'm interested to see where JT goes. Because who else would you consider?
Hold on. Let me talk about my Michael Mayer pick. All right, single vocal. All right, sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, let me hold on. Let me pull up the draft. Give me a second.
Yeah.
All right, boom. Yeah, I mean, kind of like, I'm not sure where I got cut off in my tirade, but essentially, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these running backs go before some of I guess Sean Tucker already went. I didn't see that. But some of these other running backs, it's just they're so who knows where the fuck they can go. They all have a couple of little things, whether it's size or current production or whatever, that make me not confident enough to pick them. Whereas Michael Mayer, I think that he's almost a lock to go in this mid to late first range next year. I think he's just a fantastic tight end. He's kind of just good in all phases, and the cherry on top is that he's good with the ball in his hands. So I just think he's a safe pick, and in tight end premium leagues, he's just going to be a weird dude where he falls against some of these other flashier, sexier picks.
All right, no, that's fair. Real quick, I see JT back on stream. I don't see him on my end. Should I try rejoining quick?
Jesus, Frank. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, tell Lance
I can see JT on the stream. I can't on like.
You guys are both talking and can't hear each other, which is kind of hilarious.
I'll rejoin. Yeah, give me 1 sec. You 2 talk about it because it's JT's pick.
All right, JT, you're up.
All right, what's up, chat? I'll carry down the chat. I'm sorry, YouTube. I'll carry down everyone for a little bit. So. Looking around the board, I didn't really. I guess I kind of expected Michael Mayer to go, and I mean, my issue and what I was saying before I got kicked out was, I just think it's kind of cheap because he's from the same school, so it's kind of a mean comparison. But I just think he's Kyle Rudolph Part 2, where he's just like a very hyped player that is fine, but doesn't really give you those kind of like year-winning seasons that you want from a tight end that you're drafting that high. But I don't know. Tight ends are tough to scout.
I do agree. Like he's not a Kyle Pitts.
Oh yeah, but you're not drafting him at Kyle Pitts level at this point. I'm going to take here though someone that we did talk about. He's actually my wide receiver 4. It's Raheem Jarrett. I believe that's how you spell it. From Maryland. We've seen the Maryland wide receivers in the past: Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore. He's another guy who's like 6 foot 190. Like it was between him and I'm not going to tip picks, but there was a certain North Carolina receiver that I almost picked, and I just didn't. I kind of just like his productivity.
You weren't considering either of the running backs.
Either of the running backs? I'm not sure which ones you're. Are you thinking Tank Bigsby? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And who's your other one? Zach Evans?
Yeah.
I think Tank Bigsby at this point might be somewhat of a bait. I'm not sure.
I think I agree with JT. I'd go Josh Downs.
Josh Downs was the other one that I was truly considering. Zach Evans.
I like Zach Evans.
I'll tell you what. He's got a big chance to boost his stock this year at Ole Miss. He might make, like, with this transfer, he might go crazy too, kind of like Jahmyr Gibbs. But right now, I'm just going to go with who I've seen, like, and truly think is very good, and that's Raheem Jarrett.
Okay. I understand what you're saying with the receivers, the UNC receiver, especially forgetting his name off the top of my head, Josh Downs. I'm gonna go Zach Evans though. I think he's gonna blow up this year, and I think he's gonna be someone who goes before 112 in a lot of consensus mock drafts by next offseason.
Yeah, I mean the running back position normally.
Because I was also gonna say running backs. Yeah, usually move up. I'm a fan. I think he can move all the way up to even passing Sean Tucker and being the RB2 of this draft class. Actually, wait, no, Jahmyr Gibbs. Sorry, the RB3 of this draft class. Jahmyr Gibbs is gonna be tough to pass. Those Alabama running backs are always filthy. But I think he can get up to RB3.
I mean, yeah, part of what drafting in these like Devy leagues and let's say we were, because I kind of came at this from the perspective of I was drafting today to keep these players in a dynasty league, is that it's just easier to project the receivers long term, especially because one of the most telling seasons for a receiver historically has been sophomore year production. Yeah. With freshman year production not terribly far behind, but for the most part, if you produce as a sophomore and you check a good amount of boxes outside of that, like there's a pretty darn good chance you're going to be a high level prospect. So I think that's why, at least personally, you look at a lot of my picks, I kind of felt like I was considering and went a little bit more receiver heavy than the draft would actually turn out to be come next year.
Yeah. I will say though, I don't know, it could be hype, but I just truly like this class way better, especially at the running back position. I mean,
Breece Hall is way better.
Yeah. Breece Hall, very good running back. He'd probably be my running back 2 in this class. Maybe, yeah, he'd be my running back 2 in this class. But after Breece Hall, when you compare Kenneth Walker to essentially any of the other running backs that were drafted, I think I just have any of the other running backs that were drafted. And he was like the 103, 104 in most leagues. And we're looking, I'd probably have the 112 over Kenneth Walker.
Velus Jones.
That's great. Velus Jones' 1987 sophomore campaign was impressive. Oh my god.
Jake's not here to defend him, but I mean, I'm looking at this board and I think I'd just rather have this entire board over George Pickens. Maybe not Michael Myers. I think I'd rather have the entire board over George Pickens.
I think that I don't know. It's just this year you have other positions than receiver to pick from. Like There was like last year. There's like no tight ends or running backs or quarterbacks that I wanted any part of for most of the draft. It felt really annoying. So yeah, we could talk about some of the other guys that weren't picked in the mock and what we think of them. Right. I think one of the more interesting ones is a guy like Kendall Milton, Georgia running back. I mean, you talk about a school that kind of just like produces those running backs, bro. They're crazy. I personally think that this is a dude that could have a really good year and boost his stock a ton.
I definitely think this is the year that we have a lot of 26 and up running backs. I mean, the ones that come to mind, like James Conner, Leonard Fournette, Zeke, even some guys that are starting to age out. Oh, Derrick Henry. Some other guys that are starting to age out, like Saquon, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, CMC. Like, they're all getting older. And we had that 2020 class that started to, round out a good chunk. But I think this is the year that we also see a big running back kind of cycle through. I think we're going to see a lot of running backs from this class be very valuable 2-3 years from now. Because they'll probably be the main guys on their team. But then, other guys from this class that we didn't talk about that I think are notable. I'm sure a lot of people have Will Levis as a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not a Will Levis guy.
Yeah, I'm not either. I think he's going to be very big bait, but
I like that Miami quarterback Tyler Van Dyke more than I like Will Levis.
He's talented. He has the talent to be really good. I think for him, it's kind of been a decision-making thing and reading defenses.
Sean Tucker's an underrated monster coming in 23. Yeah, Luna's picked him up at 107, so I'm not really sure underrated might be. I do really like Tucker as well.
I also really like Tucker.
He's a fun player, dude. He's an awesome dude.
He's a beast.
I'm really rooting for him. What about with JT? Where do you have Josh Downs? I'm curious. In your wide receiver,
I almost took him over Raheem Jarrett. So right there, essentially.
So what, like wide receiver 4 or 5, somewhere in there?
Five probably. It's more a conversation between Addison and Downs for me. I think I still, gun to head, I think I still take Addison over Downs, but they're both right there. They're probably my next two guys. So if I did it real quick, I'd probably have Butte 1, Johnston 2, Smith and Jigba 3, which is definitely the most controversial part of that. Then I think I'd have Raheem Jarrett 4, Addison 5, Downs 6. But I could easily flip-flop a few of those guys if we're being honest.
One of the things that annoys me about Downs is that, and it's funny I'm using the word annoys, but I watched that UNC team and I'm like, holy shit, this dude is really good. Like, yet I just can't find myself putting him in like the top 4 receivers. Maybe he's number 4, but I can't put him over JSN. I can't put him over Butte right now. I think I'd rather have Addison out the gate. But the dude's a phenomenal player, extremely productive. When you watch those UNC games, you're like, this dude's an absolute freaking monster.
Mm-hmm.
Another guy I want to touch on real quick, maybe this, because we are kind of starting to run out of some space here. We have other segments we want to talk about. Is Arik Gilbert, that tight end out of Georgia.
I think he's curious. Fraud.
You think he's a fraud? Because he's a dude that is just absolutely massive. A lot of people, I think I've seen have him as their tight end 1. I'm personally a Michael Mayer guy, hence why I took him over Arik Gilbert. But I'm just curious if any of you guys are Arik Gilbert guys in here. Gilbert. Arik? I thought it was Arik. Eric. I just this ain't a names podcast, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think he's that. Well, like, he had 35 receptions last year, 368 yards. It's fine. I mean, we saw Tommy Tremble get drafted like the second or not second round, but we saw Tommy Tremble get drafted high with not a lot of receptions in college. So who knows how much that really matters. But I just like, I look at him and I look at like Jaheim Bell, and I just think Jaheim Bell is significantly better. And I think if I remember correctly, if Georgia's the team I'm thinking about, I think there's a better tight end on Georgia.
Brock Bowers, dude. Brock Bowers is insane.
Yeah. Brock
that
Bowers,
guy's a stud.
But I feel like there might be another one too. Hold on, let me pull up. I think Brock Bowers is sick, and I think here he is, Darnell Washington. I think Darnell Washington is sick as well. So, what are we even going to see from Eric Gilbert this year? I don't know.
I do agree. I think that Eric Gilbert, or Reed Gilbert, however the fuck you say his name, is a little bit of bait. Georgia's offense has produced huge number. Got to dig in on their prospects to evaluate them.
JT, why lower on Jackson Smith and Jigba's speed? I just like, he's fine. I think he's solid. He's still my wide receiver 3 in the class. So I mean, it's not like, I just think Twitter and Dynasty, Dynasty Fantasy Football, right? I think they've kind of gotten nuclear on Jackson Smith and Jigba, and they're kind of ruining what was a very good prospect and making him an elite prospect. Because I mean, you talk about the stats like yards per route run and stuff like that, and he's not in the same conversation as the likes of a Jamar Chase, but also not only that, like he's lower in that regard than Quentin Johnson and Kayshon Boutte, and that's kind of where I'm putting most of it. Yards per team pass attempt too. That's also where you have him below those two players, Boutte and and that's the sorry if you're listening to us on podcast chat saying it's hard to knock a guy that outproduced 2 first-round talents. I just think Chris Olave 1 shouldn't have been a first-round talent. That's kind of besides
in this draft. He is.
Yeah, it's kind of besides the point. But I think people just had the same kind of arguments for like Devontae Smith, where, I mean, don't get me wrong, Devontae Smith is a very good wide receiver, but Lounis and Frank were talking about him being in the same conversation, at him being Jackson Smith and Jigba in the same conversation as Jamar Chase. And I don't think he's that kind of player. I think he's a very good player on a very good team, but I don't think he's an elite player, if that makes sense.
How would you compare Smith to Jigba to Treylon Burks for you coming out, and Drake London?
I think, truthfully, I'd rather Smith and Jigba over both those guys. Which
has there been anyone in the past, like in the past 2 years of receivers, with Smith and Jigba being, well, he wouldn't be number 2 for you. Well, I guess excluding his draft class and just the past 2 years.
I like Jackson Smith and Jigba about as much as I did Rashad Bateman. And I really liked Rashad Bateman.
I know you really like Rashad Bateman, but Rashad Bateman is not in the same. It's about a different world.
I don't think so. Truthfully, I don't think they're that different.
You don't think they're that different?
No, Rashad Bateman was very good. Rashad Bateman,
I know he was very good. He was.
I had him as my
106 pick, right?
Yeah, I had him as my like 106 in that stacked 2021 class. Like,
yeah, but you were the only person who had him that high. Most people had him.
Yeah, but I'm saying I like them both. Like,
I know.
It's just that I really like Kayshon Boutte and Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, JT, you didn't like him that much. You were just the only person that had him that high, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, if I were to rank all those guys, I'd have Jamar Chase like above and beyond. Sorry for getting like way too in the weeds here, but I'd have Jamar Chase like way up here. Like Jamar Chase is just, I don't know if you can even see my hand on the YouTube. He's up here. Okay. Yeah. Then down here a little low, that's where I have Quinn Johnston, Kayshon Boutte, Boutte, Johnston. And then you go down a little bit more, not crazy. This kind of seems drastic, but I'm doing it to make a point where it is lower. That's where I have Rashad Bateman and Jackson Smith and Jigba. And then down here is where you have like the Devontae Smiths. That's where I had.
Where does Drake London fall on that?
Drake London's like,
and like Treylon.
Treylon's.
I really like Drake London.
Treylon's like on par with Devontae Smith for me. I think coming out, I would rather have Treylon over Devontae Smith. But they're similar in that regard.
Tier. Okay.
Yeah. Devontae Smith would be right up
there. I didn't realize that like some of these receivers you have that much higher than guys like Treylon, Drake London.
Well, I just think this is kind of
this class is low.
I think it's a deep receiving class, but it's not an elite receiving class, if you know what I mean. Like there's going to be a lot of people that are big names down the road, but they're not going to be the wide receiver one. Like, you know, they'll be a borderline wide receiver one, as in a top 12 wide receiver. They're not going to be the wide receiver one. Like
I don't really have Drake London that much far behind, if at all, a lot of these receivers. I mean, I'm admittedly high on Drake London, but
yeah, no. I like Drake London. I'm not as high on him as you two are.
Drake London, can we just take a moment to appreciate Drake London's season last year? This guy was virtually unguardable. All right, last year, we're talking about the entire Pac-12 triple teaming this guy for a good margin every game, and he's still putting up over 130 receiving yards per game. Right? Like, there were drives. I remember there was a drive, I think it was against Colorado. This dude literally had like 3 Mosses in a row. That was the drive. It was just Moss 1, Moss 2. Oh, I'm down at the 1. Moss 3. Boom. Back shoulder, one hand. Like,
I do get worried sometimes about having the Moss everyone to get. I mean, receivers win different ways.
I think he's a D-hop because everyone's like, that was the initial comp was, oh, he's a
I see more
N'Keal Harry.
I see more of Michael Thomas.
No, I saw D-hop instantly because I remember when I did that freaking Cardinals analysis. I watched like 13 fucking Cardinals games. Yeah. Way too many Cardinals games back in all 22. Yeah. And the thing that shocked me about D-hop is how good he was on these damn Cliff Kingsbury screen passes and stuff. I was like, I did not realize how good this guy was with the ball in his hands. And that was the same thing with me with Drake London. It's like, not only how good he was, I didn't realize, like, you look at the stats, it doesn't tell the whole story. They used him on, like, little flares and screens all the time. I was like, that just is surprising for a guy who's, like, 6'5", who I'm pretty sure his yards per catch is pretty high. It's like, they asked him, dude, you're going to be an extension of the run game. And he did it very well.
Chase, Waddle, Bateman, Elijah Moore were my top 421 wide receivers. Nobody in 2022 class breaks into that group for me. I probably would have had, if they were all coming out at the same time, I probably would have had Burks in London over Elijah Moore. Yeah, I don't know if I would have had.
Yeah, I do. I have class. Burks, Garrett Wilson, London. I'd probably have. I think Elijah Moore. How to do? I liked Elijah Moore. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I might have even had like Pickens and Jahan Dotson, and I had Rondale Moore.
You guys still haven't listed the most talented receiver in the Clip draft class.
Jameson Williams.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
You want to talk about production in a conference, not just any conference, the conference. But that's
yeah, you mean what Treylon Burks did?
Jameson Williams had a better season. I think. I still like Treylon Burks. I just like Jameson Williams. But that's a different topic. Yeah.
All right, I gotta figure out how to use this thing, JT. I don't know.
It takes a while so you go to the search trades and you put in that player as the main player, and then it takes a little while for it to load, but then it populates with the trades regarding that player.
I see in the chat. I actually kind of like that comp. I don't know if you guys mentioned it. And if you guys did, because I was just looking up stats, so I zoned out for a sec. Do you think whoever had more targets than Pitts in a season? He doesn't need to be productive. How highly is like T. Higgins ranked? And I don't think he's gonna get more targets than Chase, but like he's still a top 10 dynasty receiver.
Where do I sign the petition? What does that mean? Where do I sign the petition? We don't have a petition.
We can make one.
I don't know. Yeah,
we can make one.
I feel like you just got baited into something there, Frank. I don't know what.
Yeah, I think I did too. I'm scared.
And then I see for London, their comp in the chat, IC's comp was Brandon Marshall, prime Brandon Marshall. I don't hate that actually. I actually kind of like it.
Oh wow, these trades are all over the map.
I don't know. I just feel like Brandon Marshall played so thick. That dude, I felt like he played at like 260.
I use this comp for a
Obviously,
lot
dude,
of receivers like him, but man, South Carolina Alshon Jeffrey is kind of has always reminded me of London.
All right, here we go. So here's a segment. We got a juice.
I have very strong opinions on like all of these.
So I wanted to discuss. We were kind of getting into it a little bit on the tail end of the what's it called, the stock segment, just kind of like shooting the shit a little bit, talking about some dynasty theory. And I think it was Joe and someone else. It might have been Isley. So I forget who exactly said that they like that kind of stuff. So we kind of wanted to incorporate some more theoretical, conversational type stuff. And the segment that we're going to do today is trading for veteran players as a contender, right? Making those, I'm losing value, but it's a win now. How do you keep doing that?
I was plugging in my charger and I unplugged the thing by accident. I'll be right back.
Well, shit, I gotta get this off the screen. But yeah, the whole theory, like, I'm going to forego value to knowingly invest in a win now player that's going to be worth less next year, right? I think one of the best examples of this is Travis Kelce, right? Another guy that we can pull up to look at is Derrick Henry. Another one at like the quarterback position would be like an Aaron Rodgers, right? One of these dudes that you know is going to put up QB1, tight end 1, RB1 level numbers, but for how long, if they don't do that, their value is going to fall off a cliff. So how do you approach these guys? Do you avoid these guys? I mean, Lounis, if you want to kick it off, do you have any thoughts on trying to acquire these types of players?
These win now players.
Let's just take Travis Kelce to start off, because I think he's one of the higher end win now type moves, right? Because at least Derrick Henry last year, it wasn't like, he's going to fall off a cliff, right?
No. What was that? No rebuilding team should still be holding on to Travis Kelce right now. Travis Kelce in every single dynasty league should be in a contender, not just like a meddling team, but like a contender. So making that move, like the rest of your roster has to really be there. Because
I added Lounis twice. Hold on, Lounis.
Oh, there's two of me. Oh, this is fucking crazy.
That's enough, Lounis.
No, this is wild.
All right, JT, you're back.
Oh my God, I was JT.
Lounis for JT trade.
That's crazy.
Lose now.
But no, but just to finalize my thoughts, one, you have to be really sure that like when it comes to the QB, running back, receiver position, that like you feel if you get Kelce, in your mind you're like, if I'm not the favorite, I'm like a 1B. That's the only scenario where I'm really making the move for Kelce. Because what's Kelce? He still costs what? Could you get him for a second now? Probably not.
So we got some trades up on the screen here that involve Kelce, because I knew you were going to ask that, or someone was. The past couple of trades. So let's look at the ones at tight end premium first. Romeo Doubs, a 23 first and a 24 second for Kelce and Cousins.
Ooh. Oh, Cousins too.
Yeah, Cousins in there.
I'd rather the Kelce Cousins side.
Cam Akers and CeeDee Lamb for Antonio Gibson, Travis Kelce, and a 23 second.
And Antonio Gibson's such a hard one to say. I think I'd rather the Kelce side, though.
I mean, I think I'd rather the Lamb Akers side.
If it was like Dobbins instead of Akers.
Yeah.
If it was Dobbins instead of Akers, I'd take the Dobbins Lamb side.
That was on the 18th. So that was like 5 days ago, right?
Yeah.
Is today the 23rd?
Yeah.
Then we have Dalvin Cook, Sky Moore, Hunter Henry for Travis Kelce.
I'd rather that Dalvin Cook, Sky Moore,
Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
That's a 2 tight end league as well.
Okay. This is the trade I was looking for, where it's
a 23 first and a 23 second for Travis Kelce.
Yeah, like I'm not giving that up.
I'd rather have the first and second. I mean, we just did the first round mock draft. We didn't even get to the second round.
If it's costing you a 23 first for Kelce, like you have to be really sure.
He's not cheap. right?
I know, but I'm saying, no, I just to the point, like, you have to be really sure that you're, like, the rest of your roster makes you a top 2 team in the league, if not the best.
This one is very interesting, this next one. Chase Edmonds and George Kittle. Anti-M Premium League. Chase Edmonds and George Kittle for Travis Kelce and Nyheim Hines. I feel like you never see a Kittle for Kelce. Like you never see those kind of.
Normally don't. I'm sure it's someone just.
I think
been,
I'd rather have Kittle.
I probably would too. I'm saying the person trading Kittle is probably someone who just got fed up over the past few years.
I will say it's going to be annoying having, because Kittle I think is the third target on this team at this point with Deebo and Ayuk.
Yeah, I was going to say with trading someone like Kelce, he's still tight end 3, only behind Andrews and Pitts.
Depends on who you ask, though, too.
It depends on who you ask, because I mean, like, at least on Keep Drake Cut, what's the value difference? Value difference to him, it's about a bit over 500 difference between him and Waller. If I can get Waller for a cheaper price,
I value Kelce at Waller's price, mainly because I don't value the contender bump as much as other people do. Not saying that it doesn't exist and it shouldn't be factored in. But when I look historically at some of the trades that I've seen people make in other leagues and trades that I've thought about making, I feel like a lot of these types of moves where a couple years ago you trade for Julio Jones. Last year you make a move for D-Hop. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, right? I think more times than not, if you were a little bit savvier, you can invest in similar point production or even better point production for a similar price and an asset that has a little bit more longevity, right? So that's why I would just rather have Kittle than Kelce. I would just rather invest in Kittle than Kelce. I think they're going to cost you about the damn same.
I think that logic applies for both, even if it's the same price or cheaper. Well, maybe not same price for Waller, but if it's slightly cheaper for Waller, he's 4 or 5 years younger than Kelce, I want to say. Waller's 29. Kelce, he's 3 years younger. And he's ranked 500 points lower on Keep Track. I'd make that move.
Dude, this is a hot take. I'd rather have freaking Hawkinson.
No. God, no.
I'd rather have Hawkinson.
We saw with
That's
Hawkinson.
Close. That's close. I'd rather I get behind Waller. I'll get behind Kittle.
I won't get behind Waller either. I just think.
Would you rather get Waller at the slight discount?
No, I'd rather just Kelce. I mean,
well, let's say that draft pick trade. I know neither of us would do it, but let's say in that hypothetical scenario, we saw that 23 first and a 23 second for Kelce. If it was like, I don't know, a first and a third for Waller.
Yeah, just give me Kelce at that point.
Yeah, give me Kelce.
I'll take the first and the third for Waller.
So yeah, here is the counter argument. I'm glad, Joe, you brought this up. I think winning the pot I think the winning pot okay, never mind. I thought you were just going to say I think winning the pot plays into the situation. But this is interesting. This actually isn't something I thought about. The pot size, not even just winning, the pot size plays into the situation. How often do you have to win to always be playing with house money? I mean, isn't it kind of proportional though, the pot size?
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, you win more money, but it's like you also like you're spending less. Like if the worst case scenario isn't that bad.
I think it's almost more payout structure. If it's winner take all versus you can get points for just making the championship or being highest score, because I'm pretty sure that's how I've made more money in my leagues, isn't by winning champion. I'm the king of losing championships, right? If you want to win championships, ask one of these dudes or go to a different podcast. If you want to win high score and make the championship and lose, then you listen to me, because that's my MO.
It's a shame because Frank really does, like, to anyone with some insight, he is by far the best roster entering next season in our league and like the most picks. And dude,
that loss last year, that fucking losing on Najee's last play bullshit.
And the worst part is that's your team.
There's 2 times that I have actively rooted against the Steelers. It was in that scenario. And there was another game last week of the season, way back in the day, when I was playing against Mike Wallace in the championship. And freaking scored. I was like, dude, we don't need this win. Just don't do anything. Like, just stop. JT, what do you think about this though? Like making value losing moves to try and get players like Kelsey to go and win a championship.
Typically, I'm against it because I don't think you necessarily have to lose value to get a player like Kelsey. So for example, that Zach Ertz, Tony Pollard, Sam Howell, I'm like maybe on keep trade cut you're losing value, but I just think down the road it's going to all even out, and at least then you have the win with Travis Kelsey, or you put yourself in a better position. I think, yeah, Lance.
I was going to say my strategy, just kind of like past couple years as a contender. If I'm going to pay like the big price, like first, second, I'd rather get someone who's not on the tail end, even though that's kind of the contender buy. The contender buys that I like are guys like that can fall off at any given moment, but for that season, you feel really good about them. Like I think two great examples is Fournette the past 2 seasons or James Conner the past 2 seasons. Those are 2 guys where you're not paying that top 10, top 12, or even like top 15 or top 17 positional value for them, but they can easily give you RB1 seasons for that year, and they could fall off after the next year easily. But for that season, they'll give you elite production. Like those are more so the buys that I go for as a contender.
Derrick Henry is a smash buy if I'm looking at
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, there are some really cheap Derrick Henry buys in
Miles Sanders
in some of these trades.
For Derrick Henry in a 4th, give me Derrick Henry easily. Kirk Cousins and Kenneth Walker for Tom Brady and Derrick Henry. See, like that's one where like you're like, oh, I'm going all in, but like I don't think
Tom Brady's a QB buy. I love. Like it's like, yeah, you can leave any of your but like you get him, you're not paying that like top 10 QB price at all, or top 12 even probably. And you're getting someone who could probably going to finish top 5. Good chance he finishes top 3. He has the
Well, this is actually a really good trade for this segment, right? Trading Kirk Cousins and Kenneth Walker to get Tom Brady and Derrick Henry. Like that is a contender move.
That was going to say that's like a win now.
Yeah, because this is what I'll say. I'm okay making those moves because I think Kirk Cousins and Kenneth Walker are both replaceable players that you can just every year you get more draft picks and everything. You get better players. You could trade other players for more value. You know what I'm saying? Like these are guys that aren't that hard to acquire. Where if I'm giving them up to even just make a push in the playoffs, like I don't feel that bad giving those players up, especially. This is prior to Kenneth Walker not being ready for week 1, which I think is now kind of the wide held belief that he won't be ready for week 1. Yeah, I easily give me those kind of trades.
That was also 2 days ago where it was already reported that Kenneth Walker it's not like this is before the injury as well.
It is known. It was known that he was injured, but I don't think it was anticipated that he would be out.
Yeah, that is true. I'll give you that.
Yeah, but regardless,
it's not like it wasn't. It was completely off the radar.
I mean,
I just think my argument though, and why I don't do these types of trades is I just think if I had Kenneth Walker, I could trade him. Like to me, this guy. User 1 in this scenario who traded Kirk Cousins and Kenneth Walker away and received Tom Brady and Derrick Henry is trying to solve 2 issues in one trade. He wants to get an RB1 and a QB1 in one trade, which I think with the value that Kenneth Walker has from the community, maybe not so much anymore, but at least at the time, because we were saying that you should have traded Kenneth Walker in the fucking draft, right? But even now, I still think he commands a pretty decent price. I would just rather trade him for a different player. And maybe not even the Derrick Henry, because I actually don't hate trading for Derrick Henry. It's more the Tom Brady that I have a problem with. I just think I would rather trade for James Winston. And I know that's going to be a hot take.
No
I know that's going to be a hot take.
You and Jake are like such.
No, Jake's a fraud, Jameis guy. Jake's a fraud, Jameis guy. Because when he was offered Jameis Winston, he wouldn't trade for Jameis Winston. So he's not a true Jameis Winston guy. I will say though,
more fucking Tannehill. Give me Tannehill, especially his cost.
Oh, all right.
Well,
Tannehill's I can get behind. I can get behind Tannehill.
I just think you'll have a harder time though. Still,
until obviously he loses his starting spot to Malik Willis.
I think you're gonna
told me last weekend.
I think you're gonna have to give up more to get Tannehill. Still,
I don't know. Malik Willis has like people this preseason thinking like.
I will say though, the other I want to highlight trade 8 here. Derrick Henry for Gabriel Davis, Damian Harris. I think I might be in the minority in this.
God.
I'm smashing that because I just think Gabriel Davis. Someone mentioned, I think it was Joe mentioned how he had that one.
You're smashing the getting Henry, correct? I'm not going crazy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, I thought I was going to be alone because I thought we had some people that like Gabriel Davis. Okay, yeah. I mean, Damian Harris, like, well, I like Ramondre Stevenson. I like Damian Harris. I don't really know what the Patriots offense is going to look like. This is also a 9 starting league. Like, you only start 9 players. That's another
argument, though, too, is that what if you're losing value but gaining positional points, right? You're gaining points above average.
Oh yeah, and that's clearly what I think
that brings up the big debate when you're talking about, especially in particular, trades for tight ends, where maybe you're trading a receiver who is better than the tight end you're trading for, but the tight end you're trading for is going to give you consistently above average points week to week. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
I can't think of a good player example for each, but it's still Frank's saying it's like where you're paying kind of more value, but because of the position and like the points kind of make it an even trade. Because tight ends, it's like after you get past the top, like 7, it's a shit show.
All right, I've got Aaron Rodgers pulled up now, and I believe these are all super flex leagues. I wanted to make sure of that.
How is that a 17 starter league though? Number 4, it's just not. I'm counting 3, 5.
Holy
6,
crap, dude! This league you start 9, 17. That's nuts.
There's no way you do though, because it's 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receivers. So that's 5. Tight end 6, flex 3, 9, super flex 1, 10. That's a 10 starter.
Okay, yeah. I guess the starter column
I think there are some really actually interesting examples here. Man, would I love to do that trading Aaron Rodgers away for Tannehill and Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I would do that too. Because, I mean, I think I said it last year, Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to finish as a quarterback 12, and that was, I think,
and wrong. Also, it's just like the uncertainty part. And like Tannehill will give you good fantasy numbers. He's been like a high-end QB too.
Really quickly.
Every year.
It's almost because from looking at the trades with 3 different players now, right? I mean, we could go through more of these Aaron Rodgers trades, but I'm seeing a pattern. It's not about whether or not trading for veteran players is a bad move or not. It's not like objectively you can say out and excluding the outliers, right? Let's exclude the clear trades that we all like and dislike. It's not like, oh, the philosophy, if you do it, it's wrong. That's a bad move. Or if you don't do it, oh, that's great. It's good, right? It's more so the execution that's important, right?
Yes.
Even if you exclude the outliers, because obviously if you get someone for way less than their worth, like if you're trading for Aaron Rodgers and you give up Gabe Davis in a third, it's like, okay, well, yeah, that's probably a pretty good trade if you need a quarterback. But excluding those ones, it's just like, so how do we navigate the execution part of it?
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is there's a wrong way and a right way to do it.
But how do we define this? How do we define the right way and the wrong way? Is it just player dependent?
I think it's player dependent, but I also think like with certain deals, it's like, I know it's kind of an outside factor. It's going to be individual to everyone. Depends also like league dependent, like, because there are certain deals like I'm only comfortable making if like, okay, when I make this deal, it's clear either I'm alone in the top tier or it's only like me and another team. Like if you're making this deal to get into that top tier with 3 or 4 other teams that are already there and now you guys are all kind of even, I don't know how I feel about those kinds of trades, especially if you're trading away first. Yeah. Just the possibility that like if your first could somehow end up at like 107 or 108, or even like 109, but like let's just say 108. In the 2023 class, you're trading with that first for a win now piece. Like if I'm trading first round value in that 23 draft class, it has to be 111, 112, or minimum like 110. Like, because that's what I'm saying. League play comes into play, and like how you compare.
You gave me a great topic idea that we could save for another episode of how to know when you should go all in versus when you should blow it up, kind of thing.
I like that
because
write that down in the doc.
Yeah, I put it in the doc. I think that is a good segment because it very much is. Yeah, if you see there are 3 teams that are very clearly vying for that, 101 in the draft, and there's 3 teams that are going for the championship, you don't want to be stuck in the middle where you're constantly, fighting for that playoff spot, and then if you miss it, you get the 6th pick. If you make it, you get bounced in the first round. You don't want to be that guy
here. What about this trade 2? Right,
trade 2. Rodgers and Cook for Davis, 107, 106. Give me 106 and 107 was weird this year. It depends on who.
Oh, I thought that was 20. For 20,
give me names. Give me names.
Consensus. One is Sky Moore, and the other is Jameson Williams.
Ooh, that's difficult because
that's tough. I think I'm taking 106 and 107.
I love Sky Moore. Jameson Williams, I don't dislike. I would say I like Jameson, but it's just the problem is I think I'm taking Aaron Rodgers and Dalvin Cook. And again,
Dalvin Cook has become a little bit underrated in Dynasty.
The cop out is it's such an easy it's such an easy thing to say here, where it's so league specific and team dependent. But I mean that is what we're dealing with here. But I think if we're just putting this in a vacuum and we're taking out, your team is significantly better picking up Dalvin Cook, a running back who I think is one of the top 5, I would say, as a lock to be a running back 1 this year, which is very hard to be. And Aaron Rodgers, who I would also say is a lock to be a quarterback 1. I doubt him last year, and he proved me wrong. I don't really see why that would change this year. Getting those 2 players for a player that I would say is overrated in Gabriel Davis, and 2 unproven rookies who, while they might be good, they're not going to be that level of player. I
should say the first thing that kind of flashed through my head when I said the Gabe Davis 106, 107 side was immediately flipping Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
I'm more so thinking like 106, 107, like a 2023 like 2nd round pick. Like that's kind of was.
Well, what if you were to replace Gabe Davis with a player that you like around Gabe Davis's price?
Okay, see, like that's a good question, because then that makes it easier.
Right there.
No, Bateman's worth a good amount more. I'm pretty.
What about like a Mooney? Is Mooney that far ahead?
I think Mooney's worth more as well.
Okay.
What about James Conner?
No, I think you're undervaluing where Gabe Davis is ranked right now, Frank.
I'll find it and I'll.
Isn't he like 3,800 on Keep Drake Cut?
Okay. Gabriel Davis is ahead of Darnell Mooney. He's ahead of Darnell Mooney.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I am.
He's a little bit behind Rashad Bateman.
So here, he's a little bit behind like Traylon. So Gabe Davis is wide receiver 34. Wide receivers 33 is Keenan Allen. 32 is Hollywood Brown. 31 is Treylon Burks. Then right after him, you have...
Yeah, so what if it's Hollywood?
I'm taking that. Hollywood 106 and 107.
Yeah, that is a material change. I significantly like Hollywood more than Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
At that point, I think I take the Hollywood side. Hollywood, Sky Moore, Jameson. The problem is trading for 3 wide receivers is tough, though, especially in a league where most you could start is 4.
Always flip. I mean, real quick, did you guys see the league settings for the first trade? It's fucking nuts. Like, they have 5 flexes.
0 PPR.
It's standard 5 flexes, -4 for interceptions.
Wow.
It's
6-point passing touchdowns and tight end premium.
Damn, Jameis might not be worth
with
it.
5 flexes and a super flex. So 6 flexes.
I'm surprised that he got such a good deal for Judy then, if it's a standard league. And then we're talking about 6-point passing touchdowns with a massive deficit for interceptions. Like,
and
isn't
Rodgers
that Aaron Rodgers' league?
Picks.
Yeah,
he
like
is
isn't
the
that
best
his
touchdown
league?
interception ratio like in NFL history?
Isn't that the league you want him in? Like,
that's the league, yeah. He's QB1.
I guess that is part of it. Is that it? And this has been positioned for a new 3rd and 20 logo and possible stream overlay. Time to take it to the next level. All right. You don't gotta diss the stream like that, man. But this is part of the execution I was talking about, right? And I think that we talk about it a little bit more than I've seen some other people on Twitter do it. Like, because we had talked about this on the last stream in our conversation, JT, where we were saying that people on Twitter are constantly just like, oh, buy, let's say in this case, Jerry Jeudy. Oh, Jerry Judy's in for a big season. Buy Jerry Jeudy. But at what cost, at what price, and in what league? Because this is an example where on Keep, Trade, Cut, or depending on the league, Jerry Jeudy might not be the best example because we're not exactly the most Jerry Jeudy friendly people. But let's say this was Rashad Bateman, someone that you like, JT, or Jameson Williams, or whoever the fuck you like around Jerry Jeudy's price. This could be a trade depending on the league settings where it's like, holy smokes, you got him at a great price. Great for you, bro. You got Jerry Jeudy at a fantastic price. But then you look at the league settings for this, right? And let's just disregard the 23 second that's on the pick. It's just Aaron Rodgers for Jerry Jeudy straight up.
Mm-hmm.
You look at these league settings, and Aaron Rodgers is just going to give you way more of a competitive advantage. And a 6-point passing touchdown, -4 interception, super flex league, 0 PPR standard league, right? This is an Aaron Rodgers league, and this is a league where you try to just stack with 5 flexes, you stack the fuck out of running backs, right? I want running backs, I want tight ends, I don't need receivers. I can compete in this league with one good receiver, a Keenan Allen, and Christian fucking Kirk, right? And a couple depth pieces. So, like, I think when we're talking about, like, the theory of it, know your league is a massive proponent. It is.
Yeah.
And being able to establish arbitrage values, and maybe I should come up with a tool for this. This would be helpful, but being able to differentiate in your head the value between receivers or certain players, whoever it is, when it's half-point PPR to full-point PPR, or not tight end premium to tight end premium, or 1 tight end to 2 tight end, or this to that, 4-point passing touchdown super flex to 6-point passing touchdown super flex. This kind of stuff can massively impact the outcome of trades, clearly.
Yeah, I know. I do think, like, knowing your league is super important. I know, like, not everyone out there is in, like, a dynasty league necessarily with, like their friends. They might be just random people they met online, they've never met before, not really talk much in it, or, like, seen before. But just roster-wise, knowing kind of where you stand across the league, how many teams are clearly tanking, how many teams are, like, traded their first, going all in. So, like, I mean, this is kind of like a bullshit ass tactic, but, like, kind of knowing, like, which players certain teams might have biases towards. Like, if the guy's, like, a diehard,
knowing
like,
the fucking taco.
Yeah, also obviously knowing the taco, but, like, knowing, like, if someone's like, oh, he's a 49ers fan, I'll see how much he'll get for Lance, like, shit like that. Like,
I want to ask you guys, so, because knowing your league is very important, and if you had asked me what's, like, the standard cookie cutter superflex league, I would have said 12-team superflex league would have a quarterback, a superflex, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, a tight end, 2 flex, 4-point passing touchdowns, 2 points for interceptions. Like, that's why I would have said it was the most common, and I don't see that a single time on here. So maybe
3 receiver might be pretty common.
3 receiver might be more common. The thing that I thought was common was -2 points for interception, but I mean, doesn't really seem to be the case.
Damn, this guy got Deontay in a first for Aaron Jones in a third.
I don't know if
What?
Which one are you looking at?
This first trade.
Oh, Aaron Jones in 2023 first for Deontay. Or 2023 third. Yeah, okay.
That's fucking crazy.
Deontay side.
I should send that to Botcher, see how that goes.
Jalen Guyton? What?
Oh, we should mention it. Aaron Jones is one of my favorite contender buys. Same with.
I like Aaron Jones a lot too.
Dude, these trades are fucking weird, man. Deontay for Aaron Jones and Mike Williams.
See, that's where number 9 is a perfect example. I don't know how to. If someone can articulate this better for me, that'd be great.
Oh my god!
Number 9 is a perfect trade where I think that's what I want to see from a team that's looking to go all in. Getting Aaron Jones and Cordell Patterson for Malik Willis in 2024.
Yo, my favorite guy is the guy who's getting a contending running back from just all the hype bait. Number 10, Khalil Shakir, Romeo Doubs, Dawson Knox in a second. Like it's like 3 guys that might
truthfully
much.
I think a lot of people would rather have that user 2 side though, and
I know, but I'll take Aaron Jones.
Yeah,
I just love some of these dude. Yeah, some of these trades are fucking weird, man. I gotta go offer out some trades.
I love this tool though, because you got to see all this stuff.
Yeah,
it does make you feel bad sometimes though, because you're like, why can't I get these kind of trades?
Mass offering, man. That's how it's done.
Yeah, but
you say that
you try.
You say that for your leagues until you see your pod mate trade a defense for a 2nd round pick.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, like you try and offer Khalil Shakir, Romeo Doubs, Dawson Knox in a second for Jones and see what happens. I feel like just it happens for everyone else. It doesn't happen for us, which just feels bad.
I am surprised at the amount of people that are willing to kind of load up a single side to get their guy, right? Like this is a trade, for example, right? Trade 20. I wanted to find another example over some of the ones I've already scrolled past, right? Someone offering a 2-for-1 of Aaron Jones and Amon-Ra for Austin Eckler. Right, getting Austin Eckler for Aaron Jones and Amirat. It's like, I just don't understand I'm going to trade this 2-for-1 to get Eckler. Like, I don't understand how Eckler's that big of an upgrade over Aaron Jones to where it's worth another.
Yeah, I don't even think
essentially worth a first.
I mean, I'd rather have Eckler, but like only by a smidge.
At what cost?
Yeah, like I also don't like Amon-Ra, but like I'm not I'm not giving up anything of real importance to move from Aaron Jones to Austin Eckler. I don't know.
Like there are a fair amount of some of these trades where it's like, listen, I can understand if you're a big Austin Eckler fan, but this is just a clear.
I'd rather make the other move. I'd rather be selling Eckler for Jones plus.
I mean, this is almost a separate topic, but we took over an orphan league. I'm sure most of you know this by now, but we looked through some of the past trades, and he would do stuff like this, or she. I don't want to assume anyone's gender here and piss anyone off, but whatever that person was, they loaded up one side of the trade to get someone that they really liked, right? And whether that was, let's just say, Aaron Jones and they would add
24 is similar too. Yeah, look at 24. It's like the same thing. It's not Aaron Jones. It's Derrick Henry in this case. Or it's not.
This is usually never a good trade to make. Obviously, it can work out. Don't get me wrong. It's just there's usually a better way about getting these contending.
Yeah, I think especially if it's a contender play, like for me, it's kind of hard to guess who's going to finish ahead next season between Eckler and Jones. I guess Eckler has the small odds edge, but I wouldn't be surprised at all. It's like,
well, same thing.
I think they'll both be RB. Huh? Derrick Henry, I think, is definitely finishing ahead.
I think he's finishing ahead. Like, if both are healthy and play the full year, I think Derrick.
Okay, yeah, I'm assuming
ahead, like, sure. Slightly. I just because I think Aaron Jones is going to pop in the touchdown department this year. But an entire 2023 first on top of Aaron Jones to get Derrick Henry, it doesn't make Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know if you're giving me to give up a second on top of Aaron Jones for Derrick Henry. And I really like Derrick Henry, but I also like Aaron Jones. I don't know.
But I think that that's a clear mistake that you can make when trying to do these trades for contending players or doing trades in general is, yes, you can like players, and I don't disagree with get your guy, but loading up one side of a trade to get your guy and treating your picks as, not that they're worthless, but just like, oh yeah, I'll do it. And you do that again and again and again and again. All of a sudden, you're going to be left in a spot where you have nothing left. And you're going to be kind of fucked. I mean, that's exactly what happened. This dude was left with a team of old players that not a lot of people wanted anymore and no draft picks. I mean, that's the worst spot to be, if you ask me. Like,
there's a certain art to trading draft picks. I think we could make another segment too. And a lot of people just don't do it right.
Man, I want to do this. This is a great contending move here. Brian Robinson and a 23-second for Aaron Jones, and I mean a 25 fourth, like whatever.
Yeah, that's a type of move where, like, I don't know, that's perfect for anyone trying to contend. Get a rookie off preseason hype. I don't think you'll be able to pull
this off in most leagues, but damn, that's a.
If you can.
I mean, dude, what's hilarious? We see Austin Eckler go for Aaron Jones straight up here.
Yeah.
And here, back-to-back trades. Oh, wait, what? They just traded back and forth. Never mind. That's hilarious.
It's probably a mistake. That's funny.
All right. Do we have anything else we want to
add?
So, man, what time is it? 9:25?
In terms of the trading good players losing value for vets, I don't know. I think all in all, for me, this is something that I generally don't like to do. I think I've been convinced a little bit wrong on the pod. Not necessarily wrong, but convinced that I'm more open to trading for vets like a Travis Kelce. I mean, maybe Kelsey's a different story because he's a tight end. The tight end position, especially this year, is so weird. But maybe like a Derrick Henry is one where I have not in a league in any of my dynasty leagues thought, fuck, I want to trade for Derrick Henry, right? Like, I just haven't done that. Maybe I'm a little bit more interested in doing that. I'm just of the belief that I would rather trade, instead of for a Derrick Henry, I'd rather go for a guy that I think's got a little bit more shelf life. So like let's take the receiver position for example. Mm-hmm. Instead of trading a lot of picks for Devontae Adams, even though Devontae Adams is a fantastic player, I would probably rather just trade for Darnell Mooney. I would probably rather just trade for Christian Kirk, which is going to come off as
I'd agree.
Not a great take.
I'd agree.
I agree in the fact that I wouldn't want to give up a bunch of picks.
I actually made a trade recently in a different league. We're in the league, I'm a contender and the other person wasn't. They're like a non-playoff team. I traded Deontay Johnson and my 23 first, where I'm one of the top 2 teams in the league, for Christian Kirk and his 23 first, and he's like a bottom 4 team. That was a little bit of robbery, but like those are kind of like similar moves of Christian Kirk that I like.
I mean, I liked Mike Williams at first, but his price has just got
jumped. Yeah.
Keenan Allen a couple years ago, I liked and I tried to trade for.
I think Keenan Allen is a very solid buy right now.
I think he's more solid to buy. But there will be players where it's like they're 26. Terry McLaurin actually might be one of them. Where he's not the youngest player in the league. He's not a rookie. But people are acting like Terry McLaurin has the same shelf life left as a Keenan Allen. Not that he actually does, but the prices should be more different than it is. But the difference between the two should be larger.
I think the argument there is like Keenan Allen has top 5 wide receiver potential, where Terry McLaurin I think is like top 12, like maybe like
that's fair.
And I think the difference from 12 to 5 is giant.
Like Terry McLaurin is a lot better receiver than people think, and he's the type of receiver
he's very good.
I've traded for him in one league. I want to trade for him in more because his price really isn't that crazy.
So here's the thing, though. All right, trading for veterans. I will almost always trade the shiny player for a veteran. And so this year, Romeo Dobbs, Pacheco, who else is crazy? Likely. I will trade any of those guys right now for like a Julio Jones or an Adam Thielen, because I just think at the end of the day, those kind of players are going to get me the same points. I will miss out on the James Robinson 1 out of every 20 players that happens, and that's fine. That's an easy one. That's a no-brainer. When it gets into the picks, though, and what I'm doing with first, and am I giving up first and whatnot for the Derrick Henrys, the Travis Kelce's, that's where I have a lot more hesitation and really have to look at my team and be like, does this take me over the top? Does this make me
That's a good point.
the winner?
Because that is one of my favorite trades, is like if I'm trying to sell maybe like a Michael Pittman is a good example, right? Michael Pittman's a good player. He's a young player. He has a lot of hype. If I were trying to sell Michael Pittman, I would rather try to get Tyler Lockett and the value difference in picks than try to flip Michael Pittman into some other player.
Lockett, I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna say I like the concept of your idea, but I don't know if Lockett was the name.
No Russ for Lockett has me.
The thing is
that
no
Russ anymore. Like Geno
I
Smith
agree.
And putting
Maybe
it out there.
Lockett isn't the best example, but I like trying to trade him for those vets that don't have the flash that people are not necessarily trying to get rid of. But they're like, oh yeah, I'd sell him. Oh, I'm getting Pittman? Fuck yeah, I'll trade Lockett in a first. I'm about to get a top whatever receiver, right? Like, to me, that's where I can get a really good receiver at a good price.
Robert Woods is kind of in that category.
Yeah, Robert Woods might be a really good example of that right now, where it's like you can get for Pittman, you can get Robert Woods and a sizable amount of draft capital.
Yeah, because everyone's Robert Woods is actually a contender by like speaking of that topic, because everyone Treylon Burks is there. Just was injured. I still like
it is contender buys. Sorry. What am I saying? Lounis, do you have any final thoughts?
Nothing on my end besides I agree with everything you guys said, with just kind of those similar types of moves. Especially if you have like kind of a premier young asset and you're really trying to like go in and all win. You could trade for a vet who will give you similar production and get some more draft capital.
Lounis, I think I could train an AI to say exactly whatever you say.
We should have that robot Lounis week.
That would be the most corrupt artificial.
You give me a little bit longer because I'm halfway through an AI course right now. I think I might be able to get something that works. Right?
AI Lounis.
God, that'd be fucking
terrifying. When you said that, yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. It's like, I feel like if I ever ask you to wrap up a segment, you say that. Like 100% you say that.
It's easier for me to say that when Jake's not here.
That's a good one.
You need to be extremely realistic about how successful you evaluate rookie talent before you deal the pick. See, I feel like it's just the picks are so safe. It's like if I'm trading a 24 first, the players are way more volatile than picks for the most part. It's like, I know that 24 first, whatever year it is, even if the draft class ending up sucky, I can trade it for a halfway decent player. Even a late first this year. It's like Jahan Dotson, you could probably trade for a receiver who's going to have a good chance at scoring a lot of points. Not a ton, but like a good amount, right?
Where's Dotson in relation to? Let me pull up Dotson. You want to know where Dotson's ranked currently? I feel like I have
around like 3,700, 3,800, 3,600. A little bit above Renfro, below Juju.
Oh, that's a weird spot. Yeah, okay. I'm looking at it.
You have to remember, this is the floor case for that first round pick. This is the floor case.
Yeah. But I will say, I'm trading Dotson for Brandon Cooks every day of the week.
And if you have a good team, like that's the thing with the draft picks, is that I think a lot of people would take that first round pick for Brandon Cooks. Because Brandon Cooks is that classic Mixon paradox. People only want to give up 2 seconds for him.
Yeah. Yeah. And to me, I just think Cooks outscores Dotson the next 4 years, and I'm low on Dotson though. I'm not big on Dotson.
All right, well, that's going to be it from us. I hope that was insightful in some shape or form, and you could take something out of it. Oh, I'm not sure if we gave him the shout out, but shout out. What is it? Is it Adiko _FF on Twitter?
ADEIKO, I believe is how you.
I missed this. What happened?
He's the one that we got the sheet from.
Yeah, he's the one that
he scraped.
Okay.
Yeah, he made that Google Sheets tool. Sorry, I should have shouted you out earlier, but that's my bad. Yeah, it's a great tool. I highly recommend it. Follow him on Twitter and everything. He's a good follow. So yeah, shout out to Adiko. I'm sorry, we're terrible with names, but you're a good dude. That's a great tool. I'm definitely going to be using that a lot more. So check it out. Give him some props or whatever. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love you guys. We'll be back for the Dynasty stock market tomorrow. Yeah, hit that like, subscribe, all that shenanigans. If you want to hit up thirdand20.com, we have our own tool for managing your league. So hit that up. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Peace out.